the things that you go through that are really hard are where you grow the most. And there's always hidden treasures in those hard places that can bless lots of people.
Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, aka the Going North Podcast, where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. You'll leave with at least one new piece of inspiration or information to help you keep going north every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North Podcast, and it's a mic takeover, baby. That's right, because we got a fellow bookcaster in the house. You heard that right, folks. Not only is she a fellow author, she's also a fellow freaking podcast host as well, so she's all filled with wisdom, y'all. So you're probably going to leave with a nice, shiny tennis bracelet of wisdom, folks. That's right, because today's guest is not only a fellow author, but she's also a speaker and a confidence coach for entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, helping them to own their expertise, monetize the message, and attract more clients. So let's give it up for Miss J.A. herself, Miss Joyful and Amazing Janelle Anderson. How you doing today, Janelle?
Woohoo! I'm doing good. That's a great introduction. I am doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right indeed. This show's the bun, you are the fun, so now we are officially fun on the bun.
That's good. You have a lot of great little things that you throw out there. Fun in the bun. Yeah.
That's a day. Well, speaking of fun on the bun, introductions, no matter how shiny and fabulous they are, they're not allowed to be 73 and a half days long. So mind filling in any cavities I missed about you, Janelle?
Oh, well, I think you covered a lot of it. I'm really excited that I just put my new book out there about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago today. So I'm super excited about that. It's my second book, but this was the first like real published with a publisher, shiny cover book. So I'm excited to have that out in the world. It's called Take Center Stage, Be the Star of Your Own Story. And it took flight. So there's that. I love to help women, empower them to speak with confidence, to find their voice, to know how great they are, how amazing they are, that they have a light to shine and they have wisdom to share. And I just love to help them like step out of the shadows and take that center stage and be all that they were created to be. That's what I'm all about.
That's right. All they're made to be. So that means you're helping out all the queen bees, aren't you?
Yes, yes. Queen bees, that's what we are. I even have a I even have a group of friends where we call ourselves the Queen Bees. So there you go, you nailed it. I even have a t-shirt with bees all over it and a wine glass with the Queen Bee on it. So there you go.
Ah, well, that's what I'm talking about. So that means they have all the honey, y'all, and that wasn't even
Yeah,
part of the. I didn't even know that was public. That probably wasn't even public knowledge, was it?
probably not. I doubt think so. But now everybody knows. So we're all about making the honey, you know? Yeah. Making the world sweeter.
Ah, yeah, making it sweeter indeed. And speaking of sweet, the cover of the book is freaking sweet. Two of my favorite
I know.
colors got the wonderful royal blue and the wonderful
Mm-hmm.
yellow and gold. Like, my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, my
Mm.
goodness.
I know.
Is
Isn't it
there.
pretty?
Yeah, it's freaking fabulous. So, are you going to be doing an audiobook for this book?
I'm looking at doing that. I haven't done anything about that yet, but I definitely have that on my radar for a future plan for sure. But I don't think I'll be doing it. My publisher said it's better if you hire someone, which I understand because, my dogs will probably bark and, all kinds of things would happen if I tried to do it. So maybe I'll hire somebody with a really cool I don't know, English accent, Australian accent, or Jamaican accent, and or something like that, and have somebody else do it. But yeah, I want to.
Well, you should read your book. You got the voice for it.
Yeah, you think I should?
So yeah, you
Yeah.
need to read. You got a podcast. You've been on dozens of these. Your voice is great. Get it on
Oh,
that
thanks.
wonderful book.
Okay, well, I'll have to find a place where my dogs won't interrupt me. I'll go do it at my dad's. It's nice and quiet over there.
Yeah, plus you'll get to take your own advice.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Get my voice out there.
That's
Amen. All
right.
right, you got me. You got me convinced there. So, Tom, I will do it. There you go.
Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about. Take center stage. That's right. The J Queen of the Queen Bees is gonna do it, y'all. That's right. She's gonna take center stage, read her own book. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it.
That's right. Find a good closet, get a good big fat turtle shell, a good mic, and you'll be great.
Yeah.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, the first ever book through an actual publisher, and if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, past books were self-published. So, what made you make
Hmm.
the decision? Like, you know what? I'm tired of doing this self-published thing. I'm gonna go out there and get some darn help with this project. Like, what led to that decision?
Well, I knew that I wanted this book to really get out distributed wider because when I did my own, I didn't know what I was doing, for one thing. And, you have to market it once it's out there. And so with a publisher, she's got all the channels and all the connections to get me distributed in more places than just Amazon. And also, she had the designer to make the inside so gorgeous and the cover. She's the one that found this beautiful cover. So all of those kinds of things I'm not great at, and so I want this book to shine. I want this book to, like I said, just have wings and fly and get out there in a big way. I want it to open doors for me to find more stages to speak on. I want it to bring me more women that I can work with, and I want it to get into as many hands as possible for it to really change lives. And so I thought, you know what? I need help. I'm going to go to a professional who knows what she's doing and do this thing top notch. So I'm really glad I did. So I'm very happy with it.
Sweet. That's
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
talking about, indeed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. So, in speaking of opening more doors, I believe there's a time in your life where you felt like there was nothing but closed doors, especially in the late teens, early 20s, with some setbacks that ended up being a story forward. So, mind going a little
Hmm.
deeper into that for those who don't know about that part yet?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that story's in the book. But when I was 19, sophomore in college, went out with a girlfriend, my roommate, one night, and we're hanging out, just playing foosball, talking to some guys. Next thing I remember, I'm waking up and I'm sort of coming to, and I'm in my bed, and this man is on top of me. One of the guys from the bar. And I can't quite make out what's happening. I'm really fuzzy headed and I can't move. And then I black out. And when I come to in the morning, he's gone. I look at the sheets and I see blood and I realize, and this was my first thought, oh no, I've lost my virginity in a one night stand to some guy I don't know. I was devastated. And the message that my heart received from that was, I must be just a piece of trash. And so that was the thought that landed in my heart and my mind. And I couldn't tell anyone about it. And I never did. I kept it to myself because I felt like this was my fault. I did something. I must have drank too much. I must have done something to bring this on myself. How could I let this happen? Which I know now is a common thought for assault victims. But at the time, at 19 years old, I just thought I messed up and I better not tell anyone. So that started me on this path that again I didn't realize till years later when I actually unpacked it all. But when you go through something like that, you often feel this desperation of being validated by somebody telling you you're worthy. You're worthy of being loved. You're worthy of love. And so I searched everywhere for that, just like they say, looking for love in all the wrong places. That's what I ended up doing. And I was just so desperate to be accepted and to be loved. And I just kept running into relationships that weren't real relationships. They were just more being exploited, basically. And so the message my heart received over and over again was that that's all I was good for as a woman, was for men to use my body. And then 4 years after that incident, and keep in mind, where my mind was, where my state of mind was. So by the time I was 23, graduating from college, barely graduating from college, because I actually was still very much in a traumatized state, not knowing it, but I was just kind of out of it. So I barely graduated, and I met this guy. He was a charmer, and we started dating. And after a few months, he said, let's go to California. I want to move to California. I didn't have any reason to stay in Colorado, so off we went. On the way to California, he said, let's stop in Las Vegas and hang out there for a little bit. Well, 1 month turned into 2 months, and the next thing I know, I find myself sitting on a bar stool in a casino, all dressed up, in the afternoon. And I don't want to be there. I don't want to do what I'm about to do. But my boyfriend is standing at the door watching me to make sure I do follow through with his plan. Soon a man comes and sits down next to me, an older man, smelling of booze and cigarettes. And he looks at me and he says, are you working? And I said, inside I'm screaming, no, I don't want to do this. But I said, yes, I am. And that began my 3-year career as a prostitute, a working girl in Las Vegas. And so during that whole 3 years, this scene of, just played over and over again. And I just went into this place of not being connected to who I am, just this place of disassociation, this place of numbing down, shutting down, feeling more and more worthless. And by the time I was 26, I was pretty much just a shell of a woman. And I was just this young woman who had really had her youth stolen from her. But in my mind, I had caused all this. I had opened the door to it. And I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. I hated it. I hated myself. And I thought, this is it. I'm trapped here for life. But one wonderful, glorious night, actually it started off bad. We had a bad fight, my boyfriend and I. He had me on the floor. He was choking me. His eyes looked like the devil had taken over his body. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this could be it. He leaves, though. He comes to his senses and he leaves. And I was hysterical and just frightened and terrified. And I ended up just picking up the phone and calling my mom. Now, my parents didn't know what kind of life I was living, but she was my lifeline. And thank God she picked up the phone. And I was just sobbing and crying. I don't even know what I said to her. But she said to me, you know what? I think that Jesus, we were raised in the church, and she said, I think Jesus just wants you to come home to him and have peace. And those two words were like water to a dry, thirsty soul. Like really, it was like a magnet. It was like, I want that. I've got to have that. And so I prayed with her. She told me later she couldn't believe I actually prayed with her, but I prayed with her. And in just a moment of time, everything changed, literally. And I physically felt a peaceful, just the presence of God just kind of fill me totally. And I all of a sudden knew I'm not going to go out on the street anymore. I all of a sudden had the strength to stand up to him and not be afraid of him or making him mad or disappointing him or whatever. I just knew it, and I can't explain it other than I just knew. And so he came home that night, and I think he saw right away something was different. And I told him, I'm not doing this anymore. For the next month, he tried every trick he had to get me to go back out. Tried to shame me, tried to intimidate me, he tried everything. Tried to tell me, hey, I've lost all our money. You're going to have to go out and make some. But nothing he ever did worked, and I just stood steadfast, and I was free. And So a month later, I'm driving out of Las Vegas on my way back to Virginia to start a whole new life. 26 years old. And I wish I could say that at that moment I was totally confident and all of that, but I wasn't, because I was really damaged and I stuffed it all away. I was too ashamed to tell anybody. So I never did. And I never got any kind of help or counseling. I thought if I just forget that whole period of my life, it'll go away. But I've discovered that it doesn't. And so fast forward about 30 years into my 50s now, I've been living all this time just kind of, I always say I lived on the front porch of my life because the inside of the house was a mess and I didn't want anyone to see it and I didn't want to deal with it. So I didn't tell people, my history, and I was really not connected to my true self. And so I get to my 50s and I realize, gosh, time's going by really fast. I really want to fulfill my destiny and my purpose. And I feel like I have been holding back all these years. I've been playing small. I haven't been myself. I haven't been speaking up. I've been quiet and afraid to take risks, and afraid to take chances. And here I am in my 50s and life is going by really fast. And that was the catalyst that helped me to realize that I've got to do something. And that led me into a place where I knew I had to go back to that time in my life and unpack it all, because it was holding me back and it was causing a lot of my fears. It was causing a lot of my lack of self-confidence. And so with the help of my church, we did a lot of deep inner healing counseling, and I unpacked all that stuff and I began to see it from a different point of view. And I realized, really, I had been believing this lie that I was worthless. It was never true. I never was worthless. And I was able to really kind of wrap my hands and my arms around this young woman and have compassion on my younger self instead of feeling ashamed of her. And when that started happening, everything changed. And I realized that even though what happened wasn't great, it was still a part of my story and it had an effect on who I was today. And I could use it for good, or I could continue to be a victim to it. So I decided that I was going to begin to tell people my story and use it as a platform really to speak out for women and to empower women to face their past, or to face those things that are holding them back, whatever it might be. And so I began to speak up and learned how to tell my story and actually wrote it down in the book. And so I went from a timid, traumatized woman, I always say, that felt like she was 2 feet tall to feeling 10 feet tall, or 2 feet small to 10 feet tall is what I usually say. Somebody who has taken center stage of her life. And I speak and I coach and I write and I have a podcast, as you said. And so if I can do that, anybody can do it. So hopefully that was what you were looking for. That was the story.
That's right, and she's sticking to it like honey and Gorilla Glue, indeed. That's right.
Yes,
indeed.
yes.
That's right. That's right, indeed. And a grandma, too, if I'm not mistaken.
A grandma? Did you say?
Well, that too.
No. Oh, what did you say?
Oh, grandma. You know,
Grandma.
glamorous.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Grandma. That's funny. Well, I don't know about that, but I just want to be, I want to be someone that other women can trust, to feel like they can trust, and just be inspired that, they can really do whatever it is their heart is longing to do. It's in them to do it. And I'd love to be that person that can help them find their way and step up and be all that they're meant to be. So if that's a grandma, I don't know. I guess I'm one.
Oh, yeah, that's also involved, too. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because my goodness, like, Like just hearing that story again, because my usual snooping of the guests before they pop on, just hearing multiple times, it's like, man, like did the idiot that basically put you to work in your late teens, early 20s, like did he even do any work of his own to support the two of you at all?
No, he did not. That was his plan. And, I didn't tell you the rest of the story. About a year after that, I actually married him.
Oh,
Yeah, and people go like, "Why?" Well, if you remember the state of mind I was in, I thought, well, he told me, he kept in touch with me. I still was under that influence, I guess you could say, because he was very manipulative and a very controlling kind of person. And when you're under that for a long time, you just it's hard to come out from under that. And so he kept in touch with me and said that he really wanted to marry me and that he had changed. And I felt like, well, if I'm ever going to get married, I mean, who's going to want to marry me? Look at what I've done. Look at my past. And so he knows my past. He was a part of it. So if I ever want to get married, I guess it's going to have to be him. And so I did. I married him. And on my wedding night, I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? This is terrible. Now I'm stuck in this. Like, how could I have done this? It was a horrible feeling to have on your wedding night. And so we had about a six to 7 year marriage of more gaslighting, more emotional, mental abuse, control, all that. So it was another 6 years, 6.5 years of being under that. So that's another reason why it took me a long time to really get my feet under me, because when you're living with that kind of narcissism where you are told everything's your fault, and you're the one that has the problem. And he had crazy ideas, like just crazy stuff that he believed that God was going to drop money from the sky, like weird stuff. And we were homeless for a while, and he cheated on me, and that's actually what we were separated for the first time from that. And then I went back to him again, and then finally he just one night got up, packed his bags, and left. And the whole time, the only thing he did work wise was he did join the army for a while. And that's why I went back to him, because he convinced me that I'm going to learn a trade and I'm going to provide for us now. And we had a daughter by then. But he never really did, because as soon as he got out of the army, he went back to just, well, I'm going to just go camping and commune with God and, that kind of thing. And I just believe, money's going to fall from the sky. And by that time, though, I had wised up enough to know that this guy, there's something wrong here. And I don't think I'm the problem. And so by then, by the time he left, I realized that the marriage was over. It was okay for me to divorce him. I didn't, before that, I always felt guilty about that. And, I just knew it's over. And it was many, many years later when I really realized that there was probably some mental issues going on there and narcissism and things like that. But yeah, he didn't ever take responsibility for what he did. He always said to me, well, I didn't hold a gun to your head, um, you did it. So always it was my fault. And that takes a while to get out from under that. So I know a lot of women and men too, probably, if you're in that kind of relationship, you know what I'm talking about, if you've been in that. And it can really do a number on you, how you see yourself. And you can really start to believe those lies that there's something wrong with you and that you're the one causing all the problems. And it gives that person control. That's how they control you. In fact, not too long ago, I read a book where they talked about what's called trauma bonds. And it really helped me because it explained to me why I kept going back. And what happens in those relationships is that the perpetrator actually purposely and intentionally creates this situation where the victim feels like, if I don't do what they say, or if I don't act the way that they want me to act, I'm going to be alone. And so they lay the groundwork for, if you want to be loved, if you want my love, you're going to have to do this. And they play all kinds of mind games. Like he would do the silent treatment for several days, and I would have no idea what I did wrong, and it would torture me. And that was his way of controlling me. And when he finally told me what I did wrong, it was usually something like, most people wouldn't even blink an eye over. It would be something really silly, but that was his way to have this control, and it's called trauma bonds. And that's why it's really hard for the victim to break away and to get out from under it and cleared of it. And once you are and you look back at it, then you can see things that you couldn't see when you were in the middle of it. And then on top of that, we had a daughter, and so for me, for years, I couldn't talk about any of that because it was her dad. And I didn't want her to know, until she was old enough. Of course, now she knows, but that made it even more difficult for me to kind of find my freedom and my release from it, because I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. And, that's what keeps people in those places of being entrapped or being in bondage or being, silenced, because if you feel like you can't talk about it and you can't bring it out into the open, it gives it that power to hold you back. So once I started getting it out and talking about it, I started to feel a release. I started to feel the freedom coming, and just I was able to see the difference between who I am as a person and what happened to me, instead of it being my identity that I was this, bad person. And that was key to my healing, was being able to separate what happened to me from who I am as a person and my value as a human being. I think I answered more than your question.
Hey, well, it's all good. It comes with the territory, indeed, especially with a story like yours and all the stuff you've been through and all the stuff you're able to overcome. So, what helps you to keep your sparkle on top of faith? Because I'm pretty sure faith is also a big part of helping you continue to take center stage.
Definitely, faith is my foundation. That's when I had that conversation with my mom on the phone, coming back to Jesus. That was it. So 40 plus years of walking with him. And that's what keeps me going. I have a very deep spiritual life, deep faith. My book, as a matter of fact, is full of some of the journal entries, my conversations with God, because when I was getting ready to write it, I looked back through my 30 plus years of just journaling what I felt like he spoke to my heart. And sometimes I would see pictures, and he would tell me what those pictures meant. And so a lot of that is in my book, because they're kind of like metaphors, and they're things that anybody can relate to. God speaks to us through pictures and through nature and through all the wonderful things he's created. And he's a very creative God, so that's what has kept the sparkle there, kept the shine there, is that I know that everything I've been through has been for a purpose. And not so much what I went through as much as what I've learned after going through it and processing through it and sharing my story, how I have learned how powerful it is to share your story and to know that the things that you go through that are really hard are where you grow the most. And there's always hidden treasures in those hard places that can bless lots of people. And so I feel like the purpose in my life now is what really keeps me going, whether it's helping other women that have been traumatized or just helping people in general to know that they are worth so much and they have so much value, and that they have gifts to share with the world, that we all have a purpose in life, and to be able to understand, what I call imposter stories are, that you believe that really aren't even true, and to be able to identify them and shed them and take them off and let the real you shine through. So that purpose drives everything I do. And that's why the book is called Take Center Stage, Be the Star of Your Own Story, because I believe everyone has a center stage of their life where they can shine, as themselves, and that you don't have to be like anybody else. You just be you because there's nobody else like you, and we need you to be you. So that's what keeps me going.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, taking that center stage. That's right, putting on a giant star costume and doing the wonderful, magical, gritty dance like you're on a football field and
Oh,
putting a
yeah.
crown on your head and be like, yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Be
that's right.
you.
That's right, indeed. The Queen J is in the building, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Since this is far from your first rodeo on the guest side of the game on these podcasts, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often?
Mm. Wow. Oh, that's a good question. A question I wish I was asked more often. I think the only thing coming to my mind is, I don't know, I guess what is my mantra, my core message, I guess, would be a good question. And I think for
Uh,
me it is well, actually, one of my favorite quotes says it best. It says, "To be yourself in a world where that's trying to make you be somebody else, but to be yourself instead is actually the greatest accomplishment." I feel like if everyone was themselves and really loved who they were and was very confident and grounded in who they are, we wouldn't have all the drama that we have in the world. We wouldn't have all this competition and all this backbiting and judging carrying on, because if you are true to who you are and you're doing what you are uniquely designed to do, you're going to be happy and fulfilled and satisfied, and you're going to be really happy with and joyful about other people and what they're doing. You see the value in other people as you stand in your own value. So if I had to say, one core message that I just want to share all the time, that would be it.
there we go. That's right. And there's the six pack abs for you, folks. The core message, y'all. That's right. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed.
That's funny. The abs, the ab six pack. I love it. Do you just do that naturally? Like take a word and match it to uh, some I don't know, like the queen bees and the abs and oh, it's pretty cute. That's your genius zone right there.
Oh, yeah. That's right. The king of analogies. The
There
colonel of
you
the
go.
corny Joe kingdom.
Yeah. That's good.
That's right, indeed. A shiny kernel amongst the other kernels on this magical cob of earth. That's right.
There you go. There you go. Have you ever been a DJ?
Nah, never been a DJ.
Oh,
Nah.
okay.
Yeah, well, then again, I take that back. I've been the D, but not the J.
Oh, there you
My
go.
name's Dom, so I've been the
Yeah.
D, just not the J part. Well, actually, you know
Okay.
what? We're DJ. Actually, you're the J, so
Yeah.
we
There we
are the
go.
DJ.
Where we are. We're DJing.
Oh yeah, that's right. And speaking of DJing, let's have this wonderful podcast indeed called "Women Emerging Fearlessly." So my goodness, so what led you to start the podcast? Nick, you've even actually had a man or two on the show too.
Oh yeah, I have. So it started with when I became a coach, and I was really, like I said, I had been silent. Basically, my voice had been silent for years, and I always knew I had a lot to share, but I was afraid to share it. And so now I'm coming into my own as I come out of this. I always say I was back center stage. I mean, I was behind the curtain backstage, and I've come out on center stage. And I realized I have a lot of stuff I want to share. So I started doing like my own little Zoom call, and I'd invite my audience, whoever was on my email list or in my Facebook group, to come every Friday, Fridays at noon. It was called, and I would just share on a topic, and they could ask questions. And that went on for a couple years, and my daughter kept saying, "Mom, you should do a podcast." And I'm like, "Well, I wasn't really listening to podcasts. My daughter, of course, listens all the time." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I don't know how to do it." And she's like, "Mom, it's so easy. Just learn how and do it. And then more people will hear you instead of just whoever sees it on your website, like the two people that show up in your Zoom call. And she says, you're already doing it. Just make a podcast. So I looked into it and figured out how to do it. And I said, okay, she's right. So I just took that concept and turned it into a podcast and called it Women Emerging Fearlessly, because my brand is about, it's a butterfly emerging, out of that hidden place. I felt like that's what my story was about. And especially in my midlife years, it really became this place of finding my wings and flying. And so I really wanted to inspire women that they could also find their wings and emerge fearlessly. Fearlessly is a big part of it, because I had been under so much fear most of my life, and I saw so many women held back by different fears. And my mentor coach, when I was training to be a coach, would always say to me, Janelle, be fearless. And he'd say that every time, because I was so timid when I tried to coach him. And so I finally decided, okay, I'm going to look at this thing, fearless. How do I become fearless, and why am I so timid? And so I began to just take more steps into places where I was, afraid. And one of them was putting out a podcast. And I decided I'm just going to do it. And I want to encourage other women to also emerge fearlessly and look at, why are you afraid? There's nothing to be afraid of. And so my podcast is really telling stories of women who have overcome, obstacles and adversity, and have gone through, things that looked impossible, that you'd wonder how in the world do they ever come through that and to do what they're doing now, just because it's so inspiring. And it helps other women and men too, to say, hey, if that person could go through what they just went through and do what they're doing now, then I can do it too, so that they feel like, somebody's gone before me, somebody else has done it, and I can do it too. I can emerge fearlessly. I can let go of the fear, and I can step out there. So that's where the podcast came from. And we are getting ready to launch season 2 here pretty soon, because we've been on a break. And I'm excited about it because we're adding in different features. There's going to be a segment where I share my wisdom. And because my daughter kept saying, Mom, you have all these guests on there. My daughter, by the way, is my producer of my podcast. She's fabulous.
Sweet.
She said, Mom, she said, you have all these guests on there and nobody's hearing from you. They need to hear from you too. So I was like, okay. So I'm going to do a segment where I'm sharing, and then I have a segment with my guest sharing their story, and we'll have some other things too, like Q&A, and we're going to do a Wonder Woman feature where we talk about some woman that my daughter's found that has done something fabulous, and just lots of things like that. So that's going to start here pretty soon, and I've got some really good stories lined up of women that have just been through horrendous things, climbed great mountains, and have come out on the other side just shining their light on that stage. So looking forward to that.
So sounds like your daughter's also your life coach, huh?
Yeah, she's always been, oh my gosh, she's been the one to goad me, and say, come on, Mom, come on, why are you holding back? Why are you being afraid? Just do it. She's always taught me so much, even when she was little. She was always so full of wisdom and not afraid of anything, and just kind of pulled me out of that place of playing small and staying in the comfort zone. She still does it. She challenges me all the time in a good way.
Heck, well, that's what I'm talking about. I freaking love it. It's always great when parents have great relationships with their kids and vice versa, and they could sometimes even goad them. In your words, I could even coach them, because sometimes kids can be the best life coaches because they'll call you out in your BS and they have no filters.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Always called me out on my BS. Oh, my goodness. I'd be like, wait a minute, who's the mom here? Like, but she's also really inspired me, because she Has so many friends. Like anywhere she goes, she knows somebody. Like she could travel to another country and say, "Oh, I'm going to stay with my friend so and so." Oh, you know somebody there too? Like where could you go where you don't have a friend? She never has a place in the world to go where she doesn't know somebody. And that's because she has this great gift of nurturing relationships and building them, and like not just acquaintances. I mean, these are friends where they've lived life together. They know each other where, you know, and so many of them. It's just amazing to me. It's just, if she goes somewhere, she's got to stop and visit this friend and that friend and this friend and that friend because she has to keep in touch with them. And I just really admire that.
Well, I admire it too. That's freaking amazing. So looks like she should be one of the Wonder Woman featured on the Wonder Woman special of the podcast for the next season.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she has a podcast too, actually.
Sweet. What's the name of it? So shout it out. We'll mention it here. We'll spread the love and joy.
Yeah, well, it is called The Hero Beside Me, and it is about dogs and all the jobs that they do. And she's gone around and interviewed. She's just done one season so far, and she actually turned it into a magazine because she's a photographer. She's one of these photographers that tells stories with her photography. So she went around and interviewed all over the place different people who were doing all kinds of different things with dogs, for anywhere from, like the rescue dogs to the sled dogs to one is a mayor of a town in California. He's the official mayor, you know? And it's just amazing. So she interviewed them and took their pictures and tells their story on the podcast. And she also put it in print in a magazine. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Woohoo! Well,
Yeah, yeah.
how does Zane goodness? I freaking love it. So she's got a podcast that does storytelling photography. I love it indeed. So she's multi-talented. That's what I'm talking about indeed.
Yep.
That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about indeed. Mom and daughter goodness. The talent runs in the family, y'all. That's right.
That's right.
That's right indeed. Well, fun question I've been liking to ask guests, and since you got this new shiny book that's extra freaking fabulous, and I can't wait to snag and read a copy for myself, if your wonderful book takes center stage as a food item, what would it be and why?
Oh, wow. A food item. Let me think about that. I have never been asked that question. Hmm. Well, it has to be a food item that causes transformation, causes you to change from the inside out. What would that be? um, food item. Well, the front cover makes me think of blueberries, but well, let's go with blueberries because blueberries have a lot of antioxidants and they are really good for fighting off things that are not good for you. So that's what this book does. It helps you to get rid of the things that are not good for you and be really healthy and juicy good. There you go.
Me like you. Me like you indeed. Me like you
And
indeed.
it's sweet. Blueberries are sweet too. So,
Woohoo! Well, fun fact for you. You're actually the second guest to call their book Blueberries. That's right.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Yes,
I thought I,
indeed.
I thought I was being original. Blueberry pie. It's one
Oh,
of my
yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
That's
With
right,
ice
folks.
cream, with ice cream on top. Yum. Vanilla ice cream. Blueberry pie with vanilla ice cream. Yeah. That's it right there.
That's what I'm talking about. Indeed, some pie a la mode, baby. That's right. So you're getting some blueberries that's going to turn into a giant pie that you have to eat the whole pie with the ice cream on top.
There you go.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Yes, indeed. Blueberry pie. Yeah. Chris Lovett actually, last November, November 2021, said his book was blueberries and it'd be a whole bag of them. Funny enough, his book was called The Discovery of Less, and he loves blueberries. So yeah,
Wow. Okay. Cool.
that's right. So you're both in the pie of good company.
There you go. We have that in common. I like it.
Woohoo! Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're in the same year, 2022, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Wow. Whoa. Well, I think if I was to give advice to my 25-year-old self, knowing what I know now, I would say don't waste time being afraid and worrying about what other people think of you because you're freaking amazing and just go for it. Don't hold back. Go for it and stop trying to please everybody else and do what you and your heart is telling you to do. That would have saved me a lot of time.
Heck yeah, it would. That's right. You probably would have played every woman in your head every day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, there would be a lot of things that I would have not done and a lot of things I would have done. So,
Woohoo! That's right. She would have taken center stage a lot sooner, y'all. That's right. That's
that's
right
right.
indeed. A lot sooner, boomer sooner style, y'all. That's right.
That's right. That's right. But it's okay. I'm doing it now.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's doing it like a mountain, y'all. She's mountain doing it. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Well, definitely got to have you back on the show because you're freaking amazing. So for those who want to keep up with all the amazing stuff that you're doing, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Well, they can email me, Janelle at emerginglifecoaching.com. You can go to my website. There's a contact form there, but I'd rather have them just email me and shout out and let me know what's going on, and I will get right back with them. And my website is emerginglifecoaching.com. I'm also on Facebook and I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. You can find me under my name, Janelle Anderson, or Emerging Life Coaching.
Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about. Emerging life coaching indeed. You heard that right, folks. Slide into her DMs. Shoot her an email. Say, hey, Janelle, you're freaking amazing. I just snagged 77 copies of your book and gave them to like 5 cats, 7 camels, and 20 dogs. And of course, 30 cats as well. And they're all different humans with those different types of baseball caps indeed. And they're
Yeah.
all ladies that want to take center stage, indeed, make a giant animal farm of awesomeness. So definitely reach out to the wonderful Janelle and check out her podcast. Indeed, subscribe to it. Be on the lookout for season 2 like it's curfew, y'all. That's right. That's right. Be in the house. Actually better yet, be in the ears. Yeah, that's right. Be in the
Yep.
ears, y'all.
Yep.
That's right. The ears of podcast corn. That's right.
Oh my goodness. You are too funny. Here's some podcast corn. There you go. I love it. I love it.
That's right. That's right. One of my favorite techniques when someone asks if I hear them, I pull out an ear of corn. It's like, yep, I hear you.
Yep. Yep. There you go. I'll have to remember that because my husband forever is not hearing me. I'll have to have an ear of corn around all the time and say, "Hey, here's your ear. Do you hear me now?" That's a good one. I'm gonna have to use it.
I guess my tool of defense is now in reverse. It was originally for dads. Now the moms have the weapon. It's
Yep.
game over now.
Yep.
My
That's
bad.
it.
My bad, fellas. Sorry. I guess it's over. The
Yep.
queen J of the queen bees has the weapon now.
Yep. The show is over. The gig is up. I've got it. And I'm going to use it. I'm not afraid to use it.
All right, cool. Well, please be gentle with the corn.
Okay. I will. I'll be nice.
Hooray. Well, any more parting words before we go any deeper in this rabbit hole?
Oh, just I don't know. I think, especially in today's world, what I would say is lighten up, have fun, listen to Dom and all his silly analogies, and just laugh and have fun. Because we have one life to live on this earth, and we should make it count, and we should live it. I lived too long not living, really, and I don't, I don't want to waste another day. I want to be in it and be making a difference, leave a legacy, make an imprint, make a mark, and that's it. And enjoy life. So there you go with the blueberry pie.
Thanks a bunch for sharing some of your time out of your day to listen to the Going North podcast. I would be really honored if you head over to the website goingnorthpodcast.com and share this episode with someone that you care about. And also, for bonus points, if you like, click on the shop tab on the website and grab some gear, advance others to advance yourself if you haven't already. Have a great rest of your day and keep advancing north to your greatness.